Did you miss me? Oh my goodness. So if you haven't heard, we have this case of Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely. But before we get into the story, one thing I think we can all agree on, regardless what your political affiliation is, and that is there is no way in God's green earth that Daniel Penny is 24 years old. Holy smokes, bruh. We need to figure out what is going on with Daniel Penny, okay? This dude looks like he's about, 45 going on 56? He looks like he's about to get his retirement check. He looks like he definitely has, like, some form of pension, all right? Looks like a retired cop or something. What are we talking about? When I heard that he was 24, I fell out of my seat. This dude looks old as heck. And with the Jerry curls, with the stash, but that's besides the point. I think we'd all agree on that. I think we can, the dude looks old, okay? He looks hella old. Nevertheless, the story that is at the forefront of everyone, the TV stations, the idiot box as I call it, is Daniel Penny and chokeholding Jordan Neely, which unfortunately led to his demise. Now, let's get a few things out the way because the problem with stories like this, right? The problem that I cannot stand is that they get politicized like that, okay? They, like within seconds. Because you have the right who are trying to use this story to promote their political narratives, and then you have the left who are trying to use this tragedy in the story to promote their political narratives. And I think if everyone would just take a second, right? Just take a pause, like Fox News. I get it. You have to placate to a certain demographic, a certain audience. I got it. CNN, you have to placate to a certain demographic, certain audience. I got it, right? If we could just pause for a second and understand and take a look at what happened in this scenario. Not believing men, not believing women, but facts and evidence. Just let's take a look at what transpired in this horrible tragedy. I did some digging. I looked it up because I've been listening to the right, a lot of the right-wing pundits. I've been listening to the left, a lot of them. One thing that people are trying to say is, the right is overdoing it just as they did with Kyle Rittenhouse. They're going above and beyond to trying to make this person to be a hero, which they are not. Daniel Penny is not a hero. Kyle Rittenhouse was not a hero. But I get it. Go hyperbolic, go extreme. It is what it is. That's what they're doing currently right now. I want people to understand, as far as my position on this case, is that I don't have a problem with the chokehold, okay? Because there was a story a while back where a person did the same thing to a guy and he was praised as a hero. And I know it's a lot of right-wing people are trying to put that story out there. Look, he was praised as a hero. Why aren't we praising him as a hero? And the crucial factor is that someone perished from this person's actions. That's the crucial factor, the differences between these two stories. And I think that's a crucial factor for me. The issue is not necessarily him putting this person in a chokehold. The issue is that this person perished. That is crucial. That is the only thing, to me, what matters. That's the only thing. Before we get into the whole background, the context, because that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to poison the well. I don't care about Jordan Neely's past, all right? None of that has anything to do with this present case. I don't care what he did, how many times he's been arrested for. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about Daniel Penny's history, his background. I don't care if he's been arrested. I don't care if he has any history. None of that matters. What I care about is what in this isolated bubble of what transpired and led to Jordan Neely's demise. That's why I will be addressing. That's solely what I care about. Anyone who has any eyewitness testimony or something during that moment, that's what I care about. Everything else is politics because the right will try to use someone's history and weaponize it. And when they do it very strategically because they didn't do it for Kyle Rittenhouse. Because Kyle Rittenhouse definitely had a history. He disobeyed his mother, comes to a fatherless home. In addition to that, he was caught on camera, not only assaulting a girl, which no one called him a woman beater, but then also talking about how he wanted to eradicate people with his AR-15 because he alleged or believed that they were looting. None of that was brought up with the right-wing media, okay? So I know that in cases where they want to, they will completely forego any background of the individual. I'm asking, in order to have an equal playing ground, to do the same thing in this case. Moving forward, what transpired, what I gathered, is that Jordan Neely went on this train. He's homeless. And that's another thing I want to bring up maybe later on. Actually, I'll bring it up now. I think it's very interesting how the narrative is completely no longer mental illness, right? You can have a massacre at a school. It won't be talking about guns, won't be talking about gun reform, won't be talking about, hey, how do we, avoid certain people from getting the firearms? How do we do that? It'll be completely, let's direct it towards mental health. That's what the issue is. Not about the massacre, not about the police responding, none of that, no police reform, none of that. It's solely and exclusively mental health. That's what the right tends to do on any case. Mental health, which then gives leeway for the left to talk about, let's talk about gun reform. We need to do something. So I find that very interesting that the whole mental health, that conversation, right out the window. Now it's focusing on Daniel Penny and how he's a hero and how, black people are getting away with so many things and that we need to have people who stand up and these white saviors, yada, yada, yada. That's much of the talk that's going on the right. Jordan comes onto the subway. He's allegedly, yelling, screaming that he's hungry, that he's homeless, that he's not afraid to go to jail, all of these things. And people are alleged that he was threatening people. I have yet to hear any threats. From what I gathered, the only thing I heard is that he would kill somebody. He would kill him, MFer, right? Because he's not afraid to die. That's the biggest threat that I've heard that people have reported. I believe that was a witness who came forward who said that he said something like that. But nevertheless, none of these have been direct threats. And what I mean by that, he didn't go to Daniel Penny and said, hey, I will cause harm to you. He didn't go to the lady, the witness, and say, hey, I will cause harm to you. A lot of these were about a bunch of vague sayings, right? I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to go to jail. I wish a mofo would. All of this. Now, that's not, as long as you don't put hands on me and you don't say you're going to cause me harm, I don't care. Talk, right? You can say as much stuff as you want. That's what I believe. I believe in as far as free speech. You can say the most outlandish, craziest things you want to say, as long as you don't assault me, you don't lay hands on me, or you don't threaten me, okay? Because once you start looking at me and giving me direct threats, now you put me in a position where I have to defend myself. None of that, from my understanding, from what I've looked at, from what I've gathered and done my due diligence, none of that was present. He was simply just screaming and shouting. Now, if you're on the subway, hell, if you've ever done public transportation, all right, hell, if you've just been on a sidewalk, there's nothing I would say that's out of the norm. Unfortunately, a lot of these people who have mental health issues. That's the demeanor that they have. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm saying that's what it is. And as long as they don't put hands on me or cause me harm, I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, Daniel Penny, for whatever reason we don't know, comes up behind this guy and puts him in a chokehold. Now, had that chokehold had not ended in Jordan's demise, I don't think we would be having this conversation. I really don't. The crucial factor in this story is that it ended in Jordan's demise. Now, here's the thing. He had this man in a chokehold for over 15 minutes. Now, anyone who's ever done any type of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any type of sports, heck, you could do karate, and this is 101. You do not have someone in a chokehold for that long. As soon as their body starts to go limp, you let them go, right? And if you have an actual strong chokehold, that takes within seconds. Within seconds, someone loses consciousness and they're out. You release them. He had this man in a chokehold for over 15 minutes. Now, we know after 4 to 6 minutes, we have permanent brain damage. Now you want to tell me you had him in a chokehold for 15 minutes? And you're allegedly an ex-Marine, because that's how they portrayed him. Look at this amazing hero, ex-Marine, stood up and fought for the American citizens. That's the narrative that the right is running with. You want to tell me that this man didn't know that upon having someone in a chokehold for over 15 minutes, they would not cause actual harm to him? Now, here's the thing. I agree with the charges. The charges were manslaughter. Now, manslaughter is very different from murder because there is an intent, right? It's very difficult to prove intent, and I don't think they have that here. What they do have is I would argue a very strong case of manslaughter. This Jordan Neely, no matter what you think about him, was not causing anyone any physical harm. He was saying about a bunch of outlandish, you would say, threatening things, but not to any one person. And it's none of that's been verified. But I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt that what these witnesses are saying has some credit of truth to it. But having said that, there is nothing that would justify someone putting this man in a chokehold. Furthermore, there'd be nothing to justify as far as his demise. That there's nothing to justify that. This man wasn't he wasn't assaulting anyone. He wasn't causing any physical violence to anyone at this moment. He wasn't doing any of this. So for me, I find it very hard to justify his demise and see, well, it was legally right. I don't see that to be the case. I think Daniel Penny probably got irritated or he felt threatened, whatever that may be. I don't know how you can feel threatened if no one's actually threatening you, but he felt upon himself to silence this nuisance. And I get it. All right? I get that. We've all been in certain situations where somebody's wilding out and you're like, oh, I wish this person would be quiet. And I feel like that's very much how Daniel Penny felt. We won't know until until he testifies or he gives his statement. We don't know. But he felt put upon himself, put this man in a chokehold. The problem is that his chokehold led to this person's demise. That in and of itself is a simple case of manslaughter, right? There was no intent, but unfortunately, due to your actions, you caused a loss of life. There has to be justice. I understand your actions, your intent may have been to help or you didn't want to cause him harm. I get that, but you did. His life is he's no longer present. You have to atone for your actions. I think that's what many people are having a conflict with. And to me, it's a very simple, it's an easy, open and shut case. I get what you were doing. You're, wanted to silence him because he was acting erratic, but at the cost of his life. That's the problem. The problem is not if you just, had him unconscious and, he wakes up. That's fine. That happens every day, bro. There's a fight that goes down. Somebody, gets in a chokehold or a submission and they wake up, right? But now this person is gone. That's the problem. So to me, it's like, as I said before, it's a simple open and shut case. And I think a lot of people are trying to use this and politicize it. And I think it's disgusting. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not Lucas, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? This guy is a hero. He did what was right. He shouldn't have been on the train. He shouldn't have been shouting. He shouldn't have been yelling. This should have been handled way before Daniel Penny had to do something. Or if you don't believe, listen, I hear you. Okay, I think there's absolutely a mental health issue that needs to be addressed. But at the same time, we just can't go around killing people who suffer from mental health issues. We can't do that because you find them an irritant or an annoyance. That's not right. I don't know what to tell you. That's manslaughter. And if that's the case, in some cases, it's murder. In this case, I would say it's manslaughter. Okay. Nevertheless, you're more than welcome to call in to Disagreement Day. If you happen to disagree with my take. Disagreement Days are typically held Friday through Sunday. There'll be a number on screen. You call in, we duke it out. Either or, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing. Because the right will try to use someone's history and weaponize it.